that though, because I found it funny where a lot of people were calling, especially when they see you on the show, they were calling BS about it being street until you kind of had some issues at the cash station, just to say the least.
Yeah,
Like, was that like a oh shit moment when that happened, or?
It really didn't dawn on me until they was taking me to jail. I didn't think I was gonna be in the trouble I was in. I really didn't. But we still fighting that, man. That's going on a year, and that still ain't resolved.
Yeah,
Unprepared podcast.
Are you ready?
So, I know you guys were talking a lot on the Corvette Roadshow about the Redemption Series. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, tell us about the car, how it run, how it do. I know you were running the old Probe, but it seemed like it was super fast.
It did really good. We got a new motor in it. We only got probably 10 full laps on it. And most of them we put on at Redemption. We had trouble at Dirty South No Prep with it. Had a controller messed up, and I just kept cutting on and off, and we just kind of got lucky and won that event.
Oh, okay.
Both nights.
So I asked a bunch of people different questions to ask you guys. So I'm gonna throw a few at you. Like one of the questions was, how'd you guys actually get started in racing?
Actually, he was racing first, Daryl, and in Monte Carlo he started with, and then he got another newer Monte Carlo, wound up catching on fire.
Yeah, broke the crankshaft in it, in Gulfport, and I had a stock gas tank with about 20 gallons of avgas in it. Broke the crankshaft in half and kicked the oil pump out, bounced off the ground, and punched a hole in the stock tank, and big fire.
Yeah. Ooh, I imagine it was a real big fire.
Yeah, it was. It burned to the ground. I got out of it. I actually got out of it before it stopped. I jumped out of it, and it burned to the ground. And he wanted a car, so he bought a Camaro. I don't know if you're aware, it was a 70 model Camaro with a split bumper, and bought it. And then he bought a PAW short block.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from PAW, just bought it short block. I think he paid $1,500 to $1,800 for it.
Square port heads.
Square port heads. I had a friend of ours, Michael Diaz, put it together, and it ran pretty good. I mean, I drove it at first, and we would make passes with it, and I was kind of wishy-washy driving it, and he drove it. He did pretty good. We was at the racetrack in Gulfport the first time with it, and I ran 11:01 with it. And
ain't that bad.
he got there, and he got it and drove it, and he did like 10 dry hops. Back then we did dry hops, and he went down the track and went 1089.
Oh, nice.
So I just kind of stepped out of it after that, and let him drive. And
it's amazing how street cars went from 12 and 13 second quarter miles were fast, and now if you ain't in the nines, you're not competitive with anybody. It's weird.
Yeah, we had that same car would run. I mean, when I say it went 1089, and that same car and motor and transmission combination, we worked down to 990s.
Really?
Same
getting down
deal.
on the street
And it's what like better fuel pump, an air pan, just different stuff for better headers and different tires, and I mean just improved it. Another converter. It's just improved it that much. Took a 3-speed turbo 350. I put a power glide in it and just trans brake, and just learned a lot with it. And then we made a nitrous plate. We took a 1-inch aluminum spacer plate and drilled and tapped it, and put 2 fogger nozzles on each side and 2 fogger nozzles in the front and the back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we made that.
That's awesome.
With just 2 solenoids, and put it on the car and ran 940s with it.
Golly, that's crazy.
Didn't do nothing. Had a knob retard knob. And
oh no, y'all had the old like dial.
Dial, MSD dial, and you go in there and you get ready to stage the car, you grab the knob and you just turn it all the way. You know, 15 degrees.
I get people talking about that all the time because I talk about my car. I had having the Lingenfelder box. It's like I didn't have to do that. I ordered mine. It dropped timing. And I've had a bunch of people go, "Oh, you just need to put the knob in it." I was like, "Man, I forget to hit that knob, and I'll tear everything up."
Man, we had a Beretta that had a conventional head. Well, actually, it had the same. It had a 505 in it, and I ran 850s with it. You know, a good car. And we put nitrous on it, and same thing, same way with that knob. We put 2 big shot plates and had them crisscrossed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we use that shit as one kit, and we run 789. You know, in a quarter back then. This is in 95, 96. And then we bought a 632, you know, 2 carburetors, 2 foggers, conventional head motor, and put in it, and run 740s with it.
Golly.
And flipped it over.
Yeah.
in Hattiesburg. Flipped it over when we, you know, on experience with it. And
We didn't know what fast was back then. We didn't know what tire shake was.
shaking the tire, you just
that's
keep
something
going.
that not many people really know about until you get to
Yeah.
It's got to be. I've talked to people about that before. I've tried to put videos up to explain to people because you can watch just how violent it is. I was like, man, it'll tear a car up or it'll get you killed. It can. I mean, it can be bad. It's cool though that y'all started at the just like everybody else, like just playing with street cars and one
We
part
just got
after the
faster
other.
and faster, and each car went faster and faster.
So why pro? I gotta ask that one. I got asked that one. I said I don't know.
It was free.
That's the best answer ever.
Yeah, it was a friend of, it started out, the car was originally built in 92 by Doug Fidella, and he lives 15 minutes from us right here in Harvey. He had a chassis shop called Boo Fidella's chassis shop, you know, chassis works, and he did a bunch of chassis work for people, and he had some guys that owned a truck company, Manuel Licardi and Kearney Roberts, and they were Ford guys, and they wanted to build a Pro. So he built it on a wooden jig table.
Really?
Yep. He built it to run 890 Super Comp.
So just to clarify, that's the same one that just won both nights at Redemption.
Yep. And both nights of Dirty South No Prep.
and both nights of Dirty South No Prep, and the Dirty South No Prep final last year, and the Redemption overall last year. Like that's badass. That's insane.
You know, and believe it or not, it's get a lot of shit about the car, man, but God, it really is a piece of shit. I mean, we had it on the lift before we left to go to Redemption. We changed the rear end gear in it because it was making a whole lot of noise. And I was looking underneath it, and Jerry said, "You think we ought to scrape all this rubber off?" I said, "Nah, we'll scrape it off next time." And it's probably 2 inches thick underneath.
Golly.
Yeah. And
that's badass, actually. I like it.
It ended up, he built the car, guys put it together, and they run 890s with it, and then they ended up getting a Kazi motor, and it run like 80s. And they eventually sold it to another guy we know, Bill Weaver, who he bought it, and he's a big Ford guy, and you know, they wrecked it several times and had the front half hit, and Paul Daggapone ended up driving it for him, and you know, he just raced the car a lot. I mean, I was the first one to put nitrous on that car when they owned it, and he was running 8.0s, and he said, "I just want to be able to get in the quick 16." Now he run 8.0s and he couldn't get in the quick 16, so he needed to go like 780s. So the very first time, the way we set it up is, you know, they got, you know, the Pro Cubes and all that stuff in the car for the control for the bracket racing. Mm-hmm. We hooked the nitrous to it, where you could time it on and time it off.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
So I timed it on to leave, say, a 10th out, and then to only stay on for 3 seconds and then cut off. Mm-hmm. Well, the first time he ran it, he went a 769, and
it's still moving.
He come back and he said, what do we do to leave it on? He said, when it cut off, I almost let off. So that's what I'm gathering for him saying, I just want to get in the quick 16. That changed, and we ended up, I think he ended up going like a 728 with that car.
That's freaking moving.
And I mean, it didn't handle real well. It didn't. The car just wasn't designed for that. And they raced it for a while, and he just took the motor out, sold the motor, and put the car up for sale for like 10 grand.
Damn, that's crazy.
And a friend of mine, Scott Henning, wanted to get into this. We was racing all the time, so he went over and bought it.
Man, that's bad.
And it took us about 2 months to put it together. 3 months. He bought the old 632 out of the bullet car that's behind us here, and bought a transmission converter from Bullet, and then we put it in there. And that motor's always been a really good run motor. And I mean, that motor was in there. We ran on the show. It was in there. We ran Redemption last year. Dirty South No Prep. Armageddon. The same motor. And it was a good piece. Which we just recently sold it and bought this other motor. And it's just.
That's a lot of races to go through. As hard as y'all push the motors, to last that long, that says something about build on one, honestly.
Well, honestly, the 632, we put 160 passes on it.
Golly.
We run the shit out of it.
That is a ton on a freaking car at that level. That's a ton of freaking power to make 160 times and not just demolish it. So.
Well, I know, and it was a good piece, man. It wasn't high maintenance, anything. It just was a good motor. I mean, the TPS Motorsports built it, and it was originally an Eagle motor that we got in 1997, and Timmy and them stayed on top of it, and they put different chain, put a different camshaft, and did better work to the heads, and just evolved over the years of racing it, and I mean, shit, I went 427 and that thing in the 8th mile at 175, and that thing is actually that 632. We was at the track one day, and he made an 8th mile hit and shut it off probably about 700 feet. And the scoreboards were on, and it lit up a 7 flat at like 140 miles an hour. One of the guys standing there says he must have shut it off around 1,000, 1,100 feet. I said, no, he probably looked like to me about right at the 8th. And he was like, oh, no way, man, ain't no way he'd go that fast. I bet it wouldn't go. He said, I bet it'll barely go 690s if he stays in it. So we kind of went back and forth and blew it off, and then we come back the next pass, and granted the car went 101 60 foot, 279 to the 330. 279 to the 330 went 427 and an eighth at 174 and some change on that run. And then the next run, I said, do you think you could stay in it? And what do you mean? I said, running through the quarter. I could try. So the next pass, he ran it through, and it went 660.
But that's a little terrifying. just thinking about it, I'm sure because anybody that knows that runs a car in an eighth understands that a quarter pass can be freaking terrifying, especially at that much horsepower. Now, I get that crowd. Like, you hear a lot of people all the time talk about wanting more quarter mile racing. And it's like people don't understand you're not dealing with 150 mile an hour cars anymore. You're dealing with 220, 230 plus cars that people can't even keep insurance on a quarter mile track for some of these cars. It's insane.
Well, it was a trip because, I mean, this is a 632 now on 3 systems, and it went 662 at 217 miles an hour.
That's insane.
And on that run it slowed down because it went 103, 60, 280 to the 330, and only went 430 in the 8 mile, 175.
That's crazy.
And I mean, that little 632 ran, man. And but it just, as no prep is evolving and cars are getting faster, it wasn't just enough to keep up.
So that's the big question to me, is how you guys actually get into no prep. Like, what pushed you from no prep? Because there's a decision to be made, really, because you have to set your car up for one or the other, honestly.
Said we couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We struggled on it. When we got the car together, you got to realize the car was never built to do what it was, what we was doing with it. So when we started street racing it, we just struggled with it. We went and made some test hits and did pretty good. And we decided, man, they had a big race, and I think it was either the first or the second one. I think it was the second big one they had, and at Thunder Valley in Oklahoma, Armageddon. And we went there and to do the race your way in. We wasn't in it, so we went there just to do the race your way in. And we was green, didn't know what to expect from it. Kyle was helping us a little bit with the deal, but he hadn't did a lot of no prep neither. And we got there, and they raced from half track to the finish line on the raceway in. But they moved to the starting line to the finish line in the event, which I didn't really understand. And it was a 2-hour rain, and so we went down there, and they ran small cars first, and then we got down there, and I don't know, we was like, 6 or 7 pair, and made our first hit, and it went right down through there. And as soon as he took his foot out of it kicked sideways and hit the ball.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it
that was like welcome to no.
I was gonna say that's a learning curve kick to the nuts is what that is.
And we really got disqualified too because we hit our own wall, and
then the next day they changed that rule.
They changed that rule, but we messed the car up pretty good, and we knew we would get ready to film, so we had to come back and take it all apart and get it fixed and get it all back together. And we had a lot of guys, a friend of ours, Okie, he come in, man, and he spent a week here just, fiberglass and sanding and fiberglass, and then, we got it painted and it put it together, and didn't have no test time. I mean, in fact, they filmed us putting the car together.
That's awesome. I know. I figured there was a big jump between going from the street and dope prep, but it's one of those of like when you're in a 680 class street car, it's not really that big a difference.
The second one they had, when we did get the car figured out, we had so much trouble to show because I had the first night we wrecked it, the trans brake shorted out and came on during the run. Locked the tires up, slid it into Barry's lane, and Barry hit us. We fixed that, fixed the car, got it back together, but just could not get it to go straight. And we struggled with it, and a friend of ours passed away, Steve Brightbell. He said, bring it by the shop and let's look at it. And, we did, and we just looking, we found it had a broken anti-roll bar. And we looked at 20 times, but you couldn't tell because the way it was broke. It was broke, the arm was broke.
I got you.
Well,
actually down at the end.
So you could look at this thing and it would look good all the time as long as these arms were hooked.
Yeah.
And you're always checking it was neutral. So we fixed that and we got the car back together and we started doing better and better and better. And then we went to the next Armageddon and we were supposed to be in it, and we got there, it wasn't. We had to race your way in. And let me tell you, race your way in that deal, I think there was 85 cars?
Yeah.
85 cars.
So you have to race your way in with 85
spots.
cars.
Yeah.
So that's like 4 or 5 rounds by itself before you ever get to the actual competition.
Yeah.
And they'll beat the hell out of you.
There was a whole 32 car field to get in, plus another 45 that was racing in the deal. So we ended up, they ended up, like 30 people were in, but they had 2 spots. So they took the other people and they put them all in the raceway in, which I want to say the raceway in part of it was about 45 cars.
That's crazy.
And we started out, and look, we had just did a big grudge race in Atmore and ran really good there, won the grudge race, and then left there, came home, stayed in the trailer for a week, then went to Armageddon, got to Armageddon, and granted, we didn't do any maintenance. Didn't look at the car, didn't take it out the trailer. We got there, took it out, warmed it up, didn't put no new plugs, anything. Went out there and made a test hit from half track on, and it left and it started breaking up. He shut it off, got back in the trailer. We pulled the plugs out, and number 6 and 7 had no tips on it. And it had to happen.
It melted them down.
Yeah, it melted the tips. It had to happen at Atmore. We pushed it a little hard in the grudge race. So I took and did a compression check on it, and I had 80 pounds of compression in number 6 and 120 in number 8.
Golly.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah,
that's real bad.
I pulled the nitrous out of number 6, and I pulled the nitrous out of number 8, and we ran that whole event like that.
Golly.
All the way through the raceway in, raced our way in, and got all the way down to 4 cars.
That's insane.
And 2 of the cars that were there was Galen Smith and Steve Wally with the Texas Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that car's nasty.
And it was us, Michael Henson, Grim Reaper, and Wally. And Galen. If them 2 wouldn't have been there, it really would have just probably been us and Michael Henson.
That's crazy. So I know, I know y'all started in the streets. Like after meeting you guys, talking to you, I know that. I know a lot of people that watch you guys and see you don't really know that though. Because I found it funny where a lot of people were calling, especially when they see you on the show, they were calling BS about it being street until you kind of had some issues at the gas station. just to say the least.
Yeah,
Like, was that like a oh shit moment when that happened, or?
It really didn't dawn on me until they was taking me to jail. I didn't think I was gonna be in the trouble I was in. I really didn't. But we still fighting that, man. That's going on a year, and that still ain't resolved.
Yeah, it's people think that stuff's fake. Like,
no, it's not fake.
Not fake.
That one wasn't. I mean, none of it's fake.
When you race it every time, you know, with the show, they just got, you know, by a legal standpoint, they have to rent the road and they have to provide a EMT, and, you know, they have to make it as safe as they can, but you're still street racing.
So how do you feel about that argument, honestly? Because I've heard that argument a ton of times, and I've argued the same thing. I don't care if I like the idea of a street being shut down. It's safer. Mm-hmm. I don't want people down watching it at 300 or 400 foot like some of these idiots do, and all that stuff. But then you got the people, it's like, well, that ain't real. That ain't real. Well,
no, it's real.
How it ain't real? It's still
that's what
a road.
You're on a street with nothing on it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only difference is you got people there in case something does, God forbid, happen.
No, it's a tough deal, man. We learned firsthand, and you know, we like to quit racing, and you know, it really sent us for a loop trying to get a handle on it. And we finally got it. We tested for a year straight before we really figured it out.
Yeah, it took, you know, we was doing some stuff like power pulling, and I was talking to Jody Hatley about it, and I was like, man, look, I'm looking at the graph, and you know, he's kind of looking at it with me, because he was on the phone with me, and he can get on there and look at it, and he told me, he said, why don't you add some power to it? And I was like, what? He said, man, I told him the marks, you know, when the car gets out, we was testing on a really bad asphalt road. When your car gets out, the marks that it leaves start like they cross each other. You understand what I'm saying? The tire mark. And he said, sound like it's widening the tire out, why don't you put some power in right there? And I was just like, totally, what? So what I did was turned on the second system, and they went right down the road.
Yeah, so it was dropping the power, and the tire was getting a real big contact patch, and then narrowing back up. And so he was pretty much getting tire shaped real bad, but you had to drive out of it. That makes sense, actually. It sounds counterintuitive, but I do see how that would make sense in it. What was the first big race y'all won on the streets? Like, first big race you had, I guess, on the streets. Not necessarily won, but...
We won on the ones we won really on. What are you talking about? Back
when you first started, like, what was the first like big part? Like when you beat them, it was like, all right, that's it. We get it worked out.
We used to street race the yellow cart all the time, man. We used to go everywhere in street race. That's how I met this guy right here, you know, Bullet. We raced him for, I think, what was it, $1,000?
Yeah.
What was like 10 today on
in the 90s, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On Airport Road in Hammond, him and you know, his guys back then, and that was, you know, $1,000. We raced him. You know, we raced a lot of guys from home. We go back and forth with the guys from Homer a lot, and raced them. Earl Foles back in the day was down there. You know, he was street race back in the day. But Todd, all them guys that are from here, all of them street race back then. Mark Wells, you know, all of them. And then, you know, here, it kind of fell off for a little while, and then it picked back up again. And we had we'd go back and forth with little cars. Like I'd take a car that some guy brought me from Memphis that had a 540 shot frog motor in it. But it was all stock looking, no full interior. And it would probably, you know, run 990s on motor, and it had a nitrous kit on it. And I'd go out there, we'd take the car out there, you could drive it out there. We'd drive it out to the east, and one of our partners would get in it. And he'd drive it to where they race at, talk nothing but shit to everybody, and set all these races up. And then everybody would leave and go to Haynes, and he would hit the interstate and go one exit over, and I'd get in the car and drive it. Because the windows were tinted.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, we was just making a killing like that until one day I pulled up at the line, the guy come knock on the window when we roll the window down. And that,
one of those like...
Yeah, and you know, we got kind of hemmed up on that deal. And I'd go back and forth with some guys around here, Big Knuckles, and another guy, Junior, had a car, you know, and we was with, you know, Bass. At the time, we was running a lot of street racing. He had a little Mustang that ran pretty good. And we had another little car that we built for a friend of ours, and it was a you know, hatchback Mustang, little mini tub with a 29 10.5 tire on it, and a small block 406 Chevy motor in it, 2 plates crisscrossed, and you know, raced it on the street and a little bit, and we just starting to get a little handle on racing it, and we ended up in this big, shitstorm of shit talking that ended up to we're going to set this race up, and we're going to race, and we went out there. We struggled with the car to get it figured out. Finally, did get it figured out, and before we raced, we made a test hit, and it went right down the road. Now, granted, back then we would have a radar gun, and we'd radar, see how fast it goes, all quarter-mile stuff, and we was going 162 miles an hour.
That's fast on the street.
Yeah,
on the street, quarter mile, because there ain't no shutdown or any of that stuff. Like,
we all here. We all at the shop one night. Partner of mine calls me up and he says, "Hey man, they racing tonight?" I said, "Well, I don't think so." Why? He said, "Well, I just seen Big Knuckle and them headed toward the east." So we all jump in the car and we fly over there, and we go park and we walk through the woods and we come back around Haynes, and they got like a wall that's where old Lincoln Beach used to be. We hiding behind that wall with the radar gun. And we radar on them, and I mean they made some look like decent licks, but the radar gun said they didn't go up at 138 miles an hour.
Man.
And then it had a big block Nova, 33-10-5W tire, back half, 2 kits, and we ended up racing them for, it started out as a $5,000 race and ended up getting up to $50,000. And I mean, before the race, the total bet from both sides was $111,000.
That's a lot of money on the street.
Yeah.
That's a ton of money.
And I drove. And car worked flawless. We did it. Back then, it was always the chases and race shit, man. Everything was chases and race. Hand flag, everybody
jumping. It seems to be coming back a little bit since JJ.
And ain't going Florida and Memphis. But I mean, it's just, how could you ever have a good race if somebody's always leaving first, and somebody don't leave, and then you chase, you know what I'm saying? So when we agreed to do this race, I said, we want to race. You sure you can outrun me? He goes, I know I can. I said, well, let's do it off a flashlight start then. And this is probably what, 2004. And we used a Q-beam, had a guy flag it, he asked me how it's gonna work, and I said, he's gonna pull me up, make sure I'm ready, gonna pull you up, make sure he's ready, gonna turn around, walk off. When he turns around, turns that light on, you leave. You leave before the light, you lose. Well, how am I gonna know that? I said, he's gonna determine it.
That's how it should be. And I don't knock the chase the race thing, I get it, but at the same time, I'm with you on it. If you don't know,
it's just the way the cheat.
Well, you get the people that cheats it that can cheat it, because I mean they know if they're anywhere near the light, you're gonna go. There's not a question to it.
It's hard not to go when somebody jumps. It really is, especially when on a hand flag. We did that deal then, believe it or not. Back then we used pimp chips. I did. Nobody else I raced with did. I went and bought VHT from the speed shops that are around here at the time and wherever, Clausen's, and I poured in a jug and add my little, mixture of acetone to it, which was very little, and I used it, and I raced him and for $50,000 and beat him.
That's like I know a lot of old school guys used to carry Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Like people didn't understand. Like, well, I used to laugh at people like, they'd show up with a thing of bleach or a 2-gallon or a 2-liter Dr. Pepper. They break out of Dr. Pepper. It's like, no, you need to put that back in your car if we're doing water stuff. Like, you ain't nobody stupid. So like, all right. So what was your I guess favorite part about being on the show though? I know a lot of people know you guys from the show, so I'm sure it's been a crazy adjustment to go from street racing to the show and then now to no prep, but
it made me I think a better driver to drive that kind of car on the street, and just
kind of being forced to make sure it's right.
It made me more alert. You learn what you got to do on the street to get by, and it taught me a lot, because that street, at first we called hell. We really
I'm sure.
We heard shit from everybody, man. Everybody always had something bad to say. They didn't understand what was going on, but hey, they're entitled to their opinion. It is what it is. But I knew it, because we first started this whole deal. We was here one day, and I had a guy walk up in the shop, and he says, "How you doing, man?" I said, "All right." He said, "I wanted to stop by and see if you would help me with my car." I said, "Okay." "And your name?" He said, "Guy Kelly." and we sat and we talked for about an hour, and we went back and forth and I said, I thought I was supposed to race you. And he said, well, I've been avoiding you because I can't run as fast as y'all. And I just started helping him from there, and we developed a friendship, and I helped him get where he's at.
It builds quick like that too. It's
he's done well. I mean, he spent 3 days here, had his heads fixed by Timmy, and put his car together here, and tuned it, and did what I thought needed to be done. And he left here and went won the first cash days.
I'm not gonna keep you guys much longer. For y'all that don't know, we're in here late at night. I know y'all been busy all day. So, any expectations for the new car when it might be out? I know y'all had it out for a little while, but then there was kind of a mishap. So
we're shooting. Hopefully, it'll be back from paint in the next week, 2 weeks tops, and then it's gonna take a little bit. I'd say the next month we should be testing.
Who y'all calling out first?
Nobody. You got to get laps on it, man.
Yeah, we got to do some.
I mean, after it's ready. I don't mean like I know y'all ain't going to.
It really don't matter.
We don't like doing the call. I like picking.
Kind of like the logo drawing to see how it is.
Yeah, we do pretty good with that.
I mean, it's just like this. I mean, I was joking around with Kurt tonight, and Peters, he made a post about looking for a girlfriend. He said, trying to find one, and I said, well, maybe you're not fast enough. And I was just joking. And he kind of took offense to it and said, I'll run you first round at Redemption. And I was like, well, okay, how much? And that's where it stopped. And we've had this, I don't know, what happened with us and Kurt last year, with the big memes, whatever they call it, war. And
there's already the controversy already. It just started over memes this year.
And
it's amazing how quick that just escalates out of nowhere.
Hey, man, I don't know. I guess I pull for the underdog. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love James to death. We're good friends. We really are. We talk a lot. Man, sometimes I talk to James 4 hours at night because he don't sleep and neither do I. And it's just somebody's got to outrun him, and it might as well be me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I've had more than anybody.
We got a good record against him.
But dude, look, he's a good dude. We beat him in Dirty South No Prep a couple weeks ago. He had problems, but hey, we still won. He come over and he shook our hand. We sat in the motorhome and we laughed.
That's what I love about watching James, though. James, like I've told people before, he's fast. The car's crazy fast, but it's so freaking consistent. Like you can almost set your watch to that car the way it runs most of the time.
And believe it or not, the old car right now is about the same way consistency-wise. And it's fast.
So do you guys want to maybe shout out to some of your sponsors, anybody that's helped you? Or
like to thank Race Tech Motorsports,
Wolf Aircraft, Used Transmissions,
TPS
Motorsports, Charlie Buck Race Engines, Moroso, Jazz. I mean, all these guys helped us.
Finley Engineering.
Yeah, all these guys helped us when we wrecked the car,
Billet Specialty Wheels.
Yeah. I mean, all of them, came aboard and helped us when we wrecked it. And, they deserve to be mentioned. Trying to make sure I didn't forget anybody, like I was.
Turtle Seal Rings.
Yeah. I mean, you got, like I said, Jody Hatley, talks to me on the phone late night. Like Kenny Hubble, even Charlie Buck. I called him over the weekend, and he answered the phone, and he sat there and spent 45 minutes with me going over the data and looking at the tune-up and trying to, give me advice because I was kind of a little up in the air on reading the plugs, didn't look, right. And, he helped me with that, and there's just a lot of people that come aboard and help and do a lot, Toulouse Street Rods, they help us. There's just a ton of people,
So the last thing I know, what's your guys' like your Facebook for the probe and stuff, so he can hit you up, maybe check out some shirts or.
Yeah, check out our Facebook page, Bird Boys. You can go in there and order shirts. I mean, check out all the up and coming events. The races
results,
we making.
everything.
Videos, everything's on there.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna ask you guys one last question, and we're out. I know I may have asked it before, but we'll kind of go over just a little bit more. So I got it for the guys. All the up and coming racers, what's the best advice you can give them to run? To improve their time, to improve their racing, and
just keep at it. Don't get discouraged because we started out and couldn't get from A to nothing. At the start line. I mean, it literally took us a year. So I mean, don't quit. No, now I feel like we're one of the best no prep racers in the country.
Yeah. And win gracefully and lose gracefully.
You know,
Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes.
Always be humble.
Yeah. Just if you race and you lose, hey, I lost. Just take it and roll out with it and just say, hey, move on to the next event. Don't make 20,000 excuses.
I can understand that. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate it. I've had a blast talking to you guys. And you guys make sure to check out Fueled Media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It is about to blow up. We're working on some collaboration stuff. It's going to be amazing. But you guys need to go check it out, like it, share the stuff, and go check these guys out on Facebook. Go buy a shirt, support the probe. It's a badass car. And man, I've had a blast. So I'm good, y'all. Let's go get something to eat. I'm hungry.
Yep.
Later.
Thank you.